on the laptop rather than the phone. We'll see how we go. So, when we're ready, we're just going to bring feet together, step toes apart, bring heels in line, and have a roll of those ankles in and out. And just notice how they feel, how they move. Tune into how the feeling changes all the way up through your legs as you roll in and out. How the feeling changes into your bum muscles and into your lower back. And then just come to a nice middle position, so you've got that little lift under the inside of each arch. Pick up the toes, really spread the toes apart, see if they can stay spread as they come back to the mat. A little soften through the knees and just have a tilt of that pelvis backwards and forwards a few times. So literally just trying to get that little bit of flexion, a little bit of extension through that lower back. And then just settle into a nice neutral position, so a little bit of lift through the tummy. We'll have a widen across the collarbones and just imagine you've got some bubbles flowing up through your spine and out through the top of your head. So it really lengthens you up through the back of the body, the back of the neck, and just have a couple of deep breaths there. Just letting your body soften each time you breathe out. And I'm just going to go for a roll through those shoulders. Nice and easy. If it's a bit crunchy in there, start small. Check that you're just letting your chest stay nice and relaxed. We're not kind of pushing the chest forward, doing all sorts of weird things with the neck and the head. Everything's just staying nice and quiet through body and neck, just those shoulders rolling. And then when you're ready, have a pause and roll those shoulders forward. So again, nice and easy. Just the shoulders moving, nothing else. And then have another pause and just roll back for a couple with those shoulders and just let them completely relax there. There's no muscular effort required to hold those shoulders anywhere. They just sit nice and relaxed on the top of the rib cage. Okay, so we're going to think about a few different movements of the pelvis. So to start with, we're just going to take that pelvis side to side. So a little sway one way and then the other. Just bringing the weight into one foot and then the other. Just notice how that feels in each direction, whether you automatically take that weight as far to the one side as we do the other. The whole of each foot staying in contact with the mat. And then gradually bring that weight back to centre. And then we're just going to take the pelvis forward and then backwards in space. So literally that whole pelvis is just travelling forwards and then travelling backwards, travelling forwards and then travelling backwards. And just notice how that feels around your feet. Might feel it changes the activity up through those legs, maybe into your tummy muscles a little bit. Just taking that pelvis forward in space and then back again. Done. And then gradually bring that pelvis right back to centre. So you feel you've got really equal weight between the front of the foot and the heel on each foot. Okay. And then we're going to go for a bit of rotation. So just one hip coming forwards and then the other. If you had your laser beam shining forward out of your belly button, just turning that one way, turning that the other way. You'll feel the legs have to move as well. We're just getting that turn one way, turn the other way. Shoulders staying more or less still, so it is just the rotation through that lower back for that pelvis to turn one way and then turn the other way. So, and then just come slowly back to centre, so you've got that laser beam pointing straight ahead of you, and we're going to tilt the pelvis to one side, tilt the pelvis to the other side. So if you rest your hands on the sort of shelfy bits on each side of the waist, just at the top of the pelvis on each side there, you can feel it. You really lift up through one side and then lift up through the other. keeping your legs straight, just lifting one heel, lifting the other. Shoulders are staying more or less in the same spot, so we're not kind of leaning away from that heel as it lifts. We're staying in the centre, so it shortens you up through one side and then the other. Well done. And we'll have a little pause, and we're going to go back into the rotation, but we're going to make it a bigger movement. So you're going to step forward and around with one foot, and then back and around with the other foot. And we'll let the whole of the upper body come too, but essentially you're keeping the femur on that one leg in more or less the same position, and then the whole of the pelvis has got to rotate around that one way and then the other. And just see how that feels with the legs this way around. Just go for a couple more. And then just step back so we're nice and parallel. And then we'll see how that feels on the other leg. So stepping forward around the other one and back around. And you might find that it feels just a little bit more natural standing on one foot than it does the other. I'm pretty sure the video reverses my image on this. So I'm now actually stood on my right foot, regardless of what you might be able to see there. And it's definitely a little bit trickier, stood on my right foot and moving through my left. And as we know, if you're right-handed, you tend to be better at standing on your left leg and moving through your right leg. If you're right-handed, you tend to be right-footed. It's all a little bit the wrong way around, and it just feels a little bit awkward compared to the other side. Okay, just go for a couple more. And then we'll come back to parallel and set up for a little bit of standing clam. So we're going to bring the big toe onto the mat, soft through that supporting leg, as level as we can be across the pelvis, and then just breathing out to open the one knee, breathing in to come back again. And if you have your laser beam shining out of your belly button, again we're keeping that pointing straight ahead, so there's no movement through the pelvis, no rotation through the lower back. It's just that ball and socket joint at the hip, rolling open and closed again. So if you want to make it a bit tougher, bring that foot up onto the side of that lower leg. All the time staying as vertical as we can, so head lengthening up, shoulders nice and relaxed, opening that knee and then returning. Ooh, little wobble. And then we're going to add a straighten out through that leg. So you're going to open the knee to the side, and you can do that with the foot on the floor or the foot on the side of the shin there, and then straighten out through that knee, fold it back, and then return. Open, straighten, fold, return. So again, we're trying to stay nice and vertical. Head stays lengthening up towards the ceiling. Sorry, I've got a little bit of cramp in my toe. So lengthening up through that head, staying vertical as you lengthen out. There's no lean away from that leg. And again, if you've got the foot on the floor, that's fine. You just open, straighten, return. If you still struggle with the balance, toe on the floor, straighten it out, toe on the floor, slide it back and return. So you can always make it a little easier, a little bit more achievable. Well done. If you've been stood on one leg for quite a while now, doing well there. Just go for a couple more. 2 and 1. And let that foot come down. Have a little shake through those legs, and we'll have a little go on the other side. So soft through that supporting knee, big toe on the floor on the other leg, level through that pelvis, lengthening up through the top of the head towards the ceiling, and then just opening that knee, closing that knee, breathing out to open, breathing in to return. Again, pelvis is staying still. The little laser beam from your belly button stays pointing straight ahead. And you might feel it's a little bit different in the one hip to the other. You might feel that it was a little more mobile through the one than the other. So just check that pelvis is not moving. I could go further with this knee, but it's going to pull me open, and that's not what we want. We want to stay nice and still through that pelvis. So again, all the movement comes through that ball and socket joint at the hip. Okay, foot up onto the side of that shin if you want to. Keep balance, a little bit of lift through the tummy. Breathing out to open, breathing in to close. Good. And we're going to add on that straighten. So we're going to open, straighten, fold, return, open, straighten, fold, return. Now just watch that as you straighten that knee, it doesn't kind of drop down. You are trying to hold the knee in the same spot, so those quads have to really work to pull the legs straight. Breathe out to open and straighten. Breathe in to fold and return. So keep the breath going. And again, you can do this from toes on the floor. Either that foot comes away from the floor as you straighten, or if you struggle, just keep toe more on the floor as you straighten and then return. So there's options there. Work at whichever level is appropriate for you. Supporting leg should be feeling it a little bit by now. Check that knee is staying soft. And we'll just go for 3, 2, and 1. Well done. And then come in, have a little shake through those legs. We're going to take those feet nice and wide. Just going to have a little lunge one side to the other. Just get a bit of stretch into the inner thigh on the one leg, and then into the inner thigh on the other leg. And just check that you are very much, but slightly there, sending your bum backwards, folding forwards, and then coming back up again. So it's a hinge at those hips, okay? Keep it going. A little bit of stretching to one side, a little bit of stretching to the other side. And we're really doing this just as a little bit of a warm-up, because in a moment we're going to come into some roll downs, keeping the legs wide. So we'll just go one more to each side. And come up in the centre and pause. So check you've got the outside of the feet anchored into the mat. We're going to start nice and neutral, feel like you've lengthened up, have a nice big breath in. And I'm going to breathe out, nod the chin, and gently peel down towards the mat. Keep those knees soft. Doesn't matter where you get to, find a little bit of stretch. Knees do not need to be straight. Nice big breath in at the bottom. Breathe out, drop the tailbone, and gently unroll all the way back up. Breath in at the top. Breathe out to go down. Nice big breath in at the bottom. Press those feet into the mat to unroll back up again. Good. This time, when we roll down, we're going to pause. Just stay there for a few breaths. Really let the head hang, those arms hang. Feel that stretch into the back of the legs, maybe into those inner thighs a little bit. And then when you're ready, you're going to heel toe those feet back to hip width apart, and then go for a pedal out through the back of those legs. So we have just got one heel lifting, the other knee bending, and then switching it over. Try and let the head hang, let those arms relax again. And then we'll let both heels come down. We're going to bend those knees, walk the hands forward, and come down onto the mat. And we're going to work into cat. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Breathe out, round that back up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and lengthen back out to neutral. Really get the top of the head reaching forward, those shoulders drawing away from the ears as you come back to that straight line. And then breathe out, round up again. So you could keep going with your cat there. If you'd like to put a little bit of extra stretch in, we're going to breathe out, round up, stay rounded. Drop the bottom back to your heels, stay rounded as you come up, and then lengthen it back out again. So again, breathing out, rounding up, dropping back, breathing in, coming up, and lengthening out. So really keeping that feeling of staying rounded as you drop back, keeping that tailbone coming towards the chest bone as you drop back, and as you come up again, and then lengthen out. Just go 2 more. Last one. And come back to neutral. So we're going to change it now. We're going to stay neutral. So you've got those knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. We're going to see how far we can send the hips back, keeping neutral. And then how far you can bring the weight forward, keeping neutral. So you've really got to almost think your tailbone goes up towards the ceiling as you sink back. And then you really keep the lift through the lower tummy as you come forward. And you'll feel that as you come forward each time, those tummy muscles have to work a little bit more. It does get a bit strong into those wrists coming forward, so if you really struggle with it, bring the hands forward a hampering or so. You can still do the same movement and you won't get quite so much flexion through those wrists. You come forward, well, extension through the wrist really. Oh, there's my telephone, I've got to turn it off, oops. Well done, just go for a couple more, tailbone up towards the ceiling as you come back, lift through the tummy as you come forward. Last one. Well done. Have a pause, drop your bottom back to your heels, come down into your channel stretch. Maybe take those knees a bit wider if you want more stretch into the other thighs, and breathe into the back of the rib cage there. And then we're going to walk those hands across to the left. Find the stretch into the right side, breathe into that right side. And then walk those hands back across to the right. Find the stretch into the left side, breathe into that left side. And then walk those hands back to centre, walk them back up towards you, and we'll come and have a little lie down. I'm just going to angle the screen down a little bit so that hopefully we can see a bit better. There we go, too bad. Right, so you're going to come down onto your back, grab your head cushions, make sure you've got the length through the back of your neck once you're there. Arms nice and long by your sides, feet hip width apart, and just have a few nice deep breaths there. Breathe in, fill the body up there, breathe out and just let your body sink down into that mat. And then when you're ready, you're going to start to roll that pelvis towards you as you breathe out, and then away from you as you breathe in. And as you do that, just check in with your feet, check you've got equal contact, equal pressure coming down through each foot. And then check in with the back of the body, check you've got equal contact through each side of the back of the body, underneath the back of the pelvis, underneath the back of the rib cage, underneath each shoulder. And then just settle into a nice neutral position there. We're going to keep that pelvis nice and level, and we're going to go for a level 1 hip twist. Just breathing out to open one knee to the side, breathing to come back again, same in the other direction. So we are keeping those little bony hip points absolutely level. then we're going to take that into our single leg stretch. And my blimmin' screensaver's come on, I've forgotten about that. It's a little bit, I've recorded one and it's already done it to me once, I forgot. So keep going, and I shall just touch the button so that the screensaver goes away again, and I'm sure we're still recording. Yep, that's good. Okay, so we're going to add in a single leg stretch to this hip twist. So you're going to open one knee to the side, you're going to keep that same knee open, and it's that same leg that then lengthens away, keeping that knee open. Once the leg is fully straight, you're then going to let that leg roll so it comes to a neutral alignment, toes are more or less up towards the ceiling, and then slide straight back in through the centre. Same with the other leg. Knee opens, it stays open as you slide that leg away from you. Leg stays in line with the hip, it doesn't go out to the side, and then let that leg roll and slide back in again. So just do it facing the camera for a couple. You've got your knee opening, that foot stays in line with the hip as you slide out, then roll and slide straight back in. Same on the other side, open, stay open as you lengthen out, roll, slide it straight back in again. So essentially you're rolling that ball in the socket of the hip joint out, and then it's scooping around that hip joint as you straighten that leg away. Lots of movement around that hip joint, getting all that joint fluid moving, lubricating all of the surfaces in there. So breath out to open and then slide away, breath into roll and slide back again. And we want that pelvis to stay still, so all of the movement comes through the hip, working just quietly through those deeper tummy muscles to keep that pelvis nice and level. If you feel like that pelvis is rolling to one side, think about pulling those little bony hip points in towards each other as you breathe out, open the knee and reach that leg away. Well, let's go one more on each. So let's go two more on each. Give yourself a chance to actually get that pulling of the bony hip points in towards each other into action a little bit. Done. One more each side. Last one. And then come gently back in. Have a roll of that pelvis backwards and forwards. Settle back into neutral. So this time we're going to go for our level 1 hip twist, but with a scissors as well. So you're going to open one knee to the side. You're going to keep the knee open, float the leg up, down, and then return. So in theory, if you keep your knee in the same position as you come up and down, that foot will come back to the mat at the same spot. So again, we are going knee open to the side, keep the knee open as the leg floats up, down, and then return. Open, up, down, and then return. And if you're not sure if your feet are coming back to the same spot on that mat, maybe just have a little look and a little investigate. So keep going with that. We still want that pelvis to stay level. Long breath out to open, float up, breath in to come down and close. Same on the other leg. So now, if that is horribly uncomfortable for your hip, then maybe just stick with a normal level 1 scissors. Check you're keeping that little pocket of air under the middle of the lower back as that leg comes up. Don't let that lower back press into the mat as the leg lifts. Again, we want the movement to come through the hip joint, so you're flexing at the hip, not just rounding through that back. Go one more on each. And come back to centre. Have a little roll with that pelvis backwards and forwards, reset neutral. We're going to come up into double tabletop. So first leg comes up, breathe out, sink the ribs down, float that second leg up and pause. And we're going to go into level 2 scissors. So we're going to breathe out, touch us at the toes to the floor, breathe in to come back up, same on the other side. Think about those tummy muscles sinking down as you breathe out and take that foot down to the floor. If you feel like your neck's struggling, always just try maybe a little bit more support for your neck. Give your head cushion a fold in half. See if that makes your neck a little bit more comfy. Can you really relax there? Collarbones nice and wide. We're just going to go for 2 and 2 and 1 and 1, and we're going to pause. Bring those legs together. You're going to take those knees apart, toes stay touching, and then you're going to bring the knees together, take the toes apart. You can flatten your back into the mat if you would like to. If that feels more comfortable, go flatter. Better to be a little bit flatter than to arch up further away from the mat. So hopefully we can see what's going on there. We're going to see a little demo. We go knees apart, feet apart, knees apart, feet apart. Keep going with that. Oh, what's got on my head cushions now? So go for a couple more, and you're going to pause when you've got those knees apart and hold. From here, level 2 scissors, keeping those knees open. So breathing out, sinking those tummy muscles down as the foot comes down, breathing in to come back up. Those knees are staying wide all of the time. Again, if your hips struggle, just come back to legs parallel, work into your normal level 2 scissors. Well done. We're just going to go for 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1. Have a pause. Bring those legs back together and then come back to hip width apart with those legs. You're going to turn those feet out slightly. So you've got knees hip width apart, feet a little bit wider, and you're going to touch one foot down to just outside the mat and then the other foot down to just outside the mat. Bit of internal rotation through those hips now. If you struggle, come back to parallel, just work with your normal scissors. But we're keeping those feet a little bit wider than the knees, touching the foot down to just outside of the mat. We're going to go 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1. Come back to legs all the way together. You're going to turn your toes out and pull your toes up towards your shins. So you're like a little frog with your knees wide, and then you're going to push those legs away, they zip together. Fold back again. You will more than likely need to be flat through your back into the mat for this. Breathing out, push those legs away. Knees come together, breathing in, fold, and those knees come apart. Well done, keep it going. Head cushions are not behaving here. Just go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done, and curl into the ball and have a little rock side to side there. Good job. So stay more or less in a little ball, but put one hand on the top of each knee. We're going to keep the back flat into the mat, and we're going to circle those knees. So they circle in opposite directions. They come in towards you and then out and away. And just watch as those knees go away from you. You don't let your back arch up away from the mat. So just using the hands to sort of stir through those hips. And then when you're ready, change the direction of your circles. So we're just going the other way. So just get a nice bit of movement through those hips. And then either you can keep going with that, or if you're fairly flexible and you want to, you can come into a yoga pose called Happy Baby, where you're going to bring your hands inside your knees but to the outside of your feet, and then just have a little rock side to side there. So not the most elegant position, but really nice hip opener, just getting a little bit of stretch one way and then the other. If that is not for you, do not worry at all. Just keep going with your hip stirs, just a couple more. And then we'll all bring those legs together and just draw the knees into the chest. Find a little rock side to side. And then we're going to roll ourselves over onto one side. Come all the way over onto your hands and knees. And we're going to tuck those toes under, roll back over the feet. So you can keep the hands on the mat.
Take the hips up towards the ceiling. Just have a few deep breaths there. Really let the head hang, those arms relax. And then when you're ready, you're going to bend the knees, drop the tailbone, and gently unroll all the way up to stand. And we'll just have a couple of roll downs to finish off. I'm going to stand sideways for a change so you can see what's going on. So knees stay soft, big breath in, reach up, breathe out and peel down. So you can keep that pelvis neutral for as long as you can, and then finally let that roll all the way forwards. Nice big breath in at the bottom, breathe out, stack the pelvis up first, then one little back bone at a time. Big breath in and reach up at the top. We'll just go once more. Keep that pelvis upright for as long as you can. And then finally let it roll all the way forwards. Big breath in, press those feet into the mat, stack the pelvis first, all the way up. Big breath in at the top. And there we go. So just a little half an hour, slightly hip focus that one. Looking a mess as usual. Hope you enjoyed that. Any problems, queries, let me know. And there'll be a couple more videos. All right, take care. Must be getting towards Christmas now if you're watching these, so I hope it's all going well. I shall hopefully be lying in the sun somewhere doing absolutely nothing. Take care. Cheerio.